everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley, and today I'm going to be doing a Christmas book haul where I talk about all the books that I got for Christmas. This is actually the very first book haul that I've ever done on this channel. I just don't know if I love the idea of book hauls, but I figured this is a good time to test it out because I just recently acquired many books that were either gifted to me or that I just got for myself for Christmas. So this is going to be my first attempt at it. We'll see how it goes. I may decide I hate it, but I don't know. Let me know. What do you think of book hauls? Do you find them enjoyable or do you feel like they're a little bit redundant because I'm gonna read the books anyway and you'll find out about them later? I don't know. I hope you like it because you're here on the video, so you're gonna be here for a little bit. But I've got this stack of books behind me. I've got another stack on the floor. So I'm just gonna go through and chat about all the books that I got for the Christmas season this year. So the first book that I want to talk about is In an Absent Dream by Seanan McGuire. This was very kindly gifted to me from my friend Hannah at Hannah's Recent Reads. I'm pretty sure she also got me the second book in the series. This is the fourth book. So she's really contributing to my love of the Wayward Children series. So shout out to Hannah for that. But yes, this is the fourth book in the Wayward Children series. It is a series about these children who go through these portals. They end up in these fantasy worlds, and most of the time they end up coming back to the real world, and then they have to cope with that they're no longer in this magical world that they love. And so there is this house this woman runs where they all live together, and then each book follows a different kind of child. Sometimes they're in the fantasy world, sometimes they're in the real world, sometimes it's a little bit of a mix of both. I'm currently in the middle of the third book right now, so I'll be able to pick this one up very soon, and I'm super excited to continue in the series because so far the first two books were both 5-star reads for me. I'm only halfway through the third one right now, but I'm still really enjoying it, and I'm super excited to keep continuing on in the series. Next up, we have a couple of gifts that I got from my family, and the first one is this little book called Your Guide to Not Getting Murdered in a Quaint English Village by Maureen Johnson and Jay Cooper. This is kind of like a little book of comics, and it's just a little satirical thing because obviously there are many ways to be murdered in a quaint English village throughout the world of literature and the real world. And so inside there are just all these little comic drawings talking about these common tropes and ways that you could get murdered. This one is The Locked Room, and it says, oh, that room, you wouldn't be interested in what's in there. It's very unique, but not your sort of thing at all. But if you'd really like to see for yourself. And then there's all just different kinds of ones in here. This one is Canopy Beds and That Suit of Armor, the one without the sword. So I think this will just be a really fun little book to flip through and keep on my coffee table. It just looks so cute and funny, and I'm really excited to pick this one up soon. Next up is one my partner got me, and that is The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. I was actually super surprised. This is a hardback book because I don't think I've ever seen a Christina Lauren be in a hardcover edition, so that was just surprising to me. But I've been really interested in this romance. Christina Lauren's really hit or miss for me, so I don't always pick their books up immediately, but this is definitely one that I was interested in. It has a sort of sci-fi element to it because it's about this world where you can be matched to your soulmate based on your DNA. So I'm really excited to pick this one up. I haven't really heard many reviews of it. I've heard a couple people not really love it, but this isn't one I've really heard blow up like some of other Christina Lauren stuff. So I don't know, I'm excited to go into this with an open mind, and I hope I enjoy it. Next up is this book that was not really on my radar until the Goodreads Choice Awards happened, and then I started seeing this book be talked about a lot. It just recently came out, and apparently it's really good, and that is The Sentence by Louise Erdrich. I'm not really sure how to categorize this one, if it is literary fiction or a thriller or a mystery or kind of an amalgamation of a lot of those types of genres. It says it is a wickedly funny ghost story, a tale of passion, of a complex marriage, and of a woman's relentless errors. The Sentence asks what we owe to the living, to the dead, to the reader, and to the book. A small independent bookstore in Minneapolis is haunted from November 2019 to November 2020 by the store's most annoying customer. Flora dies on All Souls Day, but she simply won't leave the store. Tookie, who has landed a job selling books after years of incarceration that she survived by reading with murderous attention, must solve the mystery of this haunting while at the same time trying to understand all that occurs in Minneapolis during a year of grief, astonishment, isolation, and furious reckoning. So basically, it is a haunted bookstore type story. That sounds really compelling. This author has also won like a Pulitzer Prize and the National Book Award, so apparently she's a very acclaimed author, so I'm excited to check this one out. Next up, we have a nonfiction book, and that is Cultish: The Language of Fanaticism by Amanda Montell. I think the first place I saw this book come up was maybe TikTok. I remember seeing it somewhere on the internet, and I saw this author talking about their process of writing this in the past couple of years, and I was really interested in it. I find cults to be really fascinating, just the psychology of cults, and also it just focuses on language, I believe, which as a person who went to school to get an English degree, I find really fascinating. It says that this book analyzes the social science of cult influence, how cultish groups from Jonestown and Scientologists to Soul Cycle and social media gurus use language as the ultimate form of power. I also think this cover is so stunning, so I hope that I love the book inside just as much, but it sounds really fascinating, and I'm excited to pick up more nonfiction this year because I used to read a lot more nonfiction until 2021. I really pulled back from reading nonfiction, and I really want to do more of that in 2022. So this is the one that I want to get to early in the year, and hopefully this will kickstart my love of nonfiction again. Next up are a couple of books I got from my partner's parents, and the first one is The Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Sugimura. I am absolutely obsessed with this cover. I think it is so stunning, and then there's a little castle on the back that is also really cute. I believe this is a portal fantasy type book. It is set in a tranquil neighborhood in Tokyo, and these teenagers see their mirrors are like shining and that they can go into them. At a single touch, they are pulled from their lonely lives to a wondrous castle filled with winding stairways, watchful portraits, and twinkling chandeliers. And it is said to be tender, playful, and gripping, a mesmerizing tale about confronting your fears and embracing human connection. It sounds like it's going to be a really beautiful story, and I'm excited to pick it up. And then the next one is The Lost Village by Camilla Sten. I really haven't heard an overwhelming amount about this book this year. I think it came out in 2021, maybe 2022. But I do remember one of my subscribers commented on one of my videos one time and suggested this book to me, and they said it has like cinematic horror movie vibes, which is really interesting to me. I love when I'm reading a horror book, and I feel like it's something I could see playing out super well on the screen. It is also said to be the Blair Witch Project meets Midsommar, which I love both of those films. It follows a documentary filmmaker named Alice Lindstedt, who has been obsessed with the vanishing residents of an old mining town dubbed the Lost Village since she was a little girl. In 1959, her grandmother's entire family disappeared in the mysterious tragedy, and ever since, the unanswered questions surrounding the only two people who were left, a woman stoned to death in the town center and an abandoned newborn, have plagued her. She's gathered a small crew of friends in the remote village to make a film about what really happened, but there will be no turning back. Not long after they've set up camp, strange things begin to happen. Equipment is destroyed, people go missing. As doubt breeds fear and their minds begin to crack, one thing becomes startlingly clear to Alice. They are not alone. They're looking for the truth, but what if it finds them first? Come find out. Ooh, that sounds really good. I'm really excited for this one. I want to get to it early in the year because I'm really in the mood for some spooky thrillers right now. The book I'm reading right now, which will come up a little bit later in this haul, also has really similar vibes to this. I'm really liking it, so I actually might pick this one up very soon. I think all the rest of the books that I have are books that I just got for myself, so I'll just go through the rest of those. The first one is a YA thriller that everybody has been loving this year, and I tried to read it a little earlier in the year. I picked up the audiobook, but it was really kind of hard for me to follow because there's multiple perspectives, and I don't know, I probably could have figured it out if I would have just sat down and really tried to listen to it, but I just wasn't as big of an audiobook listener this year, especially in the middle of the year, and so I didn't want to diminish the story by trying to give it an experience that I wasn't fully enjoying, so I decided to pick the physical book up for myself, and that is Ace of Spades. Like I mentioned, I am just absolutely devouring thrillers right now, so I really want to pick this one up soon as well. From what I understand about this book, I really haven't listened to too many reviews because I've just heard it's so amazing and I really want to experience it for myself, but I'm pretty sure the comp titles that were used for this were Get Out and Gossip Girl. There's like some blackmail elements in the story. It's set in an academy. There are these two main characters who I think are both like at the top of the school, and then someone's getting blackmailed. I don't know. I really don't know much about it, but I've just heard it's so amazing and I really can't wait to read it. And I'm also glad I picked up the physical copy copy because this cover is just stunning and I love the spine of it as well. It's just gonna look so nice on the bookshelf. Another thriller that I've had my eye on this year and I finally decided to just go ahead and pick up is The Perfect Family by Robin Harding. I've only read one other book from Robin Harding, and that was The Swap, which I read in 2020, I believe. And it wasn't the most groundbreaking, amazing thriller I've ever read, but it was just so fun. I just flew through it. I read it all really, really quickly. I just feel like this could be an author that I could turn back to again and again for just a really fun domestic thriller. In this one, you're following this family who appears perfect on the outside, but then they start getting like ambushed in their neighborhood with a smoke bomb in their front lawn. Their porch is pelted with eggs. They think it's just pranks at first, but then they realize that someone is clearly coming after them and trying to expose all of their secrets. So I think it's just gonna be a fun time. I think I'm gonna fly through it. It's pretty short, and if it's anything like The Swap, I should end up enjoying it quite a bit as well. Next up, I have a couple of books that I picked up from Books A Million, and I don't know if you've ever been to a Books A Million or if you have a Books A Million near you, but I freaking love Books A Million. That was where I went all through my teenagehood, and I would buy so many books there because they have such good bargain prices for books that you're actually interested in that are like newer or popular. They just have so many good selections. And so I went when I was back home visiting family for Christmas, and I had to resist buying out like that whole store. I wanted to get so many of their bargain books, but I knew I was getting so many books right now anyway, and I'm really trying to not overwhelm my TBR too much at the beginning of the year. But these are a couple books that I just could not resist, that I've had my eye on for a while, and I just had to pick up because they were so cheap and so worth it. The first one is The Dream Daughter by Diane Chamberlain. I got it for the bargain price of $5.97. This is a like historical kind of sci-fi type story where this woman finds out that her unborn child, I guess she's pregnant, is going to have this condition with her heart where she either won't survive or she'll like have a hard life, but then she gets the opportunity from her brother-in-law to save her baby by, I think, going forward in time to where science is better. I don't really know. I've just heard a couple people really love this book, and it's been on my radar for a while. It's always been one that I've thought if I find it at a used bookstore or for a cheap price, I will definitely pick it up. So I was super excited to see this one on the shelves. Next is a thriller classic that a lot of people talk about, and that is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. Got this one for $4.97. I don't really know what this one's about. I've never really heard anyone talk about it too in depth. I saw Kayla from Books and Lala read this one a few months ago. I think she said it's like not surprising, like you know what's gonna happen the whole story, but it was still really good. And that really intrigued me because I thought this must be one that people love because of some crazy plot twist. But if it's something where you know what's gonna happen and you can still enjoy it anyway, I'm very intrigued to see what it's about. I'm pretty sure it follows a marriage where they appear like they're a happy marriage, but behind closed doors, things are bad. I've read one other book from B.A. Paris. I read The Therapist this past year, and it was a pretty enjoyable 3 or 4 star read. Nothing groundbreaking, but I enjoyed it enough to want to pick up more from their backlist. So excited to get to this one eventually as well. And then this one just seems like it would be a fun beach read, and that is A Stranger on the Beach by Michelle Campbell. Got this one for $5.97. I really don't know anything about this. I think someone just ends up dead on a beach and then it's an investigation into that, but it just looked like it would be fun to have as a beach read, or you know, just a sitting outside in the summer kind of read. So I feel like I'll probably wait until the summertime to pick this one up, but it just seemed like a good little thriller to flip through that I have seen floating around out in the ether a little bit, but I don't really know anything about. I don't know what kind of reception it's had, but I kind of like that better. I like to go in without any biased opinions sometimes, so hopefully this will be a good one for the summertime. And then the last one that I picked up from Books A Million is a book that I've wanted to read for so long. It has been on my radar for a very long time, but like I said, I've just gotten out of nonfiction and I haven't picked it up as much, but I've been so intrigued with reading this one. It just sounds like a very interesting perspective to read from, and it is called Life Undercover: Coming of Age in the CIA by Amaryllis Fox, and it is exactly what it sounds like. A memoir from someone who grew up in the CIA and had to live an undercover life. It tells the story of her training and deployment in the most elite clandestine operations unit in the CIA, her 8 years hunting the world's most dangerous terrorists in 16 countries, and her marriage and the birth of her first daughter, all while working undercover. This just sounds like such an interesting life to live, and I love reading memoirs from people whose lives are so very distant from my own experience, just to like get a peek under the hood at what their life must be like. I think this just sounds like it'll be really fascinating. So I'm gonna set a goal for myself to try to read one nonfiction a month. I'm really gonna set like a yearly goal of reading 10 nonfiction books so I can have 2 months to mess up or like forget about it if I do. But this is definitely one I want to get to maybe in like February or March because I think it'll be super fascinating. And then the last 2 books that I picked up at Barnes & Noble 50% off sale. So I don't know if you've seen this, but Barnes & Noble did a sale where all of their hardcover books were 50% off in the store. I'm not a huge Barnes & Noble shopper because I really like to buy books for as cheap as I possibly can, just because I buy so many books. Like, I don't want to pay brand new prices for hardcover books. That would really add up a lot of money really quickly. I like to buy from used bookstores. I buy from Amazon. Like, I buy the cheapest price that I can get. But I was very interested in this. I thought it was too good to be true. I was like, there's no way all of their hardcovers are really going to be 50% off, or they're going to mark the prices up so much that you're still paying like 20 bucks for a hardcover. But that was not true. I got some good books at very cheap prices. I got 2 hardcover books for I think like $25 or $28. So really good deal for Barnes & Noble. The first one that I got was With Teeth by Kristen Arnett. I don't really know how to describe this book or what to expect from it, but I think it's going to be kind of weird. It says it is a hilarious and harrowing story of 2 mothers, 1 difficult son, and the challenges of marriage, parenthood, and love. This difficult son is described as a feral toddler and then a surly teenager. His hostility finally spills into physical aggression, and the mom has to figure out what to do with that. This author also wrote the book Mostly Dead Things, and this says, blending the warmth and wit of Arnett's breakout hit Mostly Dead Things with a candid take on queer parenthood, With Teeth is a provocative portrait of the delicate fabric of family and the many ways it can be torn apart. So I think it's going to be more of a literary fiction, but I'm definitely interested in it. I haven't really heard many people talk about it. I feel like I've seen this one more on Bookstagram than BookTube, but I think it could be something that I really enjoy, so I was excited to get it half off. And then the last book I have is The Burning Girls by CJ Tudor, which I'm actually currently reading, and I'm about halfway through, and I am really enjoying it, so I'm glad I picked it up. This is a book that I haven't heard a ton about this year. I know it was a book club selection for Gabby Reed's book club, The Book Troop, earlier in the year, but I didn't pick it up at the time because I just had this perception in my mind of what it was going to be based off of The Chalk Man, which I haven't even read The Chalk Man, another book from this author, but I just have this idea in my mind that it's like this crime noir thing that I'm just not going to like, and so I thought this was going to be that too. But I'm really loving this, and so now I might have to go read The Chalk Man. I had to just go charge my camera, so sorry if it's a little darker and the lighting's weird. It just is such a gloomy day outside, and the sun sets so early. It's literally like 1 o'clock, and it's already like, let's start acting like it's nighttime. Anyway, this is a story that follows this woman who is a vicar, and she is moving to this small town to go be a vicar at this different church. She is bringing her teenage daughter along with her. When they get there, they realize the town has a lot of really dark history. 300 years ago, or maybe 500 years ago. Yeah, 500 years ago, Protestant martyrs were betrayed and then burned there by Queen Mary. 30 years ago, 2 teenage girls disappeared without a trace. And then a few weeks ago, the past vicar who was working at that local parish hung himself in the church. And so there's just a lot of dark creepiness going on. There's like exorcism vibes with some parts of the story. There's just a lot of history, and it very much borders on this line of paranormal or real things going on. Like, the mom and the teenage daughter keep seeing things that they don't know how to explain what they're seeing, if they're seeing ghosts or what's going on. So I am just really loving this. I'm really glad I picked this up, and assuming that I still like it to the end, I'm definitely going to pick up more from CJ Tudor, because this is just really great writing, really great atmosphere. It's just like the perfect book for me so far. So I'm hoping that I still enjoy it by the end of it. And then I just have 2 more books. So the first one is True Crime Story by Joseph Knox. This is one my mom actually got in a subscription box thing that she does. I think it's called like Creepy Crawling something. It's like a creepy crate, maybe? I don't know, creepy something. And she gets these boxes every month that come with a book and then like a lot of other accessories, and it's always like creepy horror stuff. So she's gotten like a Darcy Coates book before. I think she got My Heart is a Chainsaw through there. So it's like mostly horror books. This book was in there. My mom's not a huge reader, so I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and take this off your hands because I know I'll read it before you do, and I'm pretty interested in this one. And it's kind of like a mixed media book that's told mostly in interviews. And then I saw a photo in here of something, but maybe that was something else. I don't know. It's mostly just like told in these like kind of transcripts. I guess. And it follows this story where this teenage girl walked out of a party and then was never seen again. 7 years after her disappearance, there is this struggling writer who is drawn into the mystery. And then the story is told through interviews with the girl's closest friends and family, trying to piece together what happened that night. This is also like a meta fiction, I guess, because this is written by Joseph Knox, and it says, shaken by revelations of Zoe's secret life and stalked by a figure from the shadows, Evelyn, which is the writer who's piecing this together, turns to crime writer Joseph Knox to help make sense of a case where everyone has something to hide. So I don't know how I'm gonna feel about that, but I don't know, it seemed interesting. I either have the audiobook of this or I've seen the audiobook floating around, I don't know, but I think an audiobook version would probably be a nice way to listen to this since it's mostly interviews. But yeah, this one, I think it's gonna be hit or miss. It's either gonna be really cool or really obnoxious, but I'm willing to take that chance. And then the last book I have is just my Illumicrate of the month, which is probably gonna look really shiny. Oh, it's not. Oh, yeah, there we go. A Marvelous Light by Freya Marski. I actually already own a copy of this book because I didn't think it was gonna be a Illumicrate edition. This is really pretty. It's like this translucent cover is what puts the words on it, and then the book just itself looks like that. The edges look really nice too, but this is a fantasy novel with a romance between these two men. There's magic, secret tunnels, I think. I don't know a ton about it, but it sounded really interesting. It came out from Tor this year. I'm probably gonna read my other copy of this one and preserve this for the nice copy. If I do really like the book, then this is a nice copy to kind of display on my shelves. But excited to check this one out. Wanted to read it in like November because I feel like that'd be a good time for it, but I just didn't get around to it. So maybe sometime in the new year. But that is it for all the books in my Christmas book haul. I think this is like at least 15 books. It's a pretty sizable stack. I've really done a better job in the last half of 2021 with reducing my book buying habits. So I figured, you know, just go into the new year, do one big haul, buy the books you want to get, have some books gifted. It's okay. It makes up for all the time you weren't buying books in the past 6 months. So I don't expect to like haul many other books more in at least the first 6 months of the year, but definitely let me know if book hauls are something you enjoy watching. If you enjoyed this book haul, it wouldn't be something I have too terribly often on my channel because I'm not trying to just like buy books for the sake of buying books. But if it is something you enjoy, then maybe every time I get up to like another 10 or 15 books, I could do it later in the year. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. Also, let me know if you have picked up any of these books yourself and what you think about them down in the comments below. We can chat about that. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.